Okay, and we're back to the second lecture for AR105 Art Appreciation. Um, what we're going to do now is look a little bit at creativity. Each one of us, even if you don't think you're an artist or you're not an artist, I believe that all people have a little spark of creativity within them. And that comes from the creativity of God. And we have some images here. Well, if I can get them. Here's one by William Blake of God. Here, the artist has interpreted God as having a body. We understand and know that God is spirit. Okay, as Christians, we understand that. Here, to get through to us and let us as people understand God a little bit better, William Blake has actually put God in the form of a man with long flowing gray hair. Okay, and here he is. He has this tool and he's measuring out the universe. He's sitting within this sort of reddish orange sphere that sort of represents the heavens at that point of creation. Now, theologically, I could probably point out lots of things that are wrong with this. But for art, we have to put some of that aside. Not to be heretical or anything like that, but sometimes artists need to take a little bit of license so that we can communicate in this world with people, with bodies, with hair, to understand who we are. And ultimately, I believe that's what Jesus Christ did. God is spirit, and unless Christ became a person, we would not have ever understood what he was going to do for us on the cross. Okay. Here's another one by the same artist of God, this time with wings and flying over Adam as he's creating Adam. Now, one thing that you might see here, what is this attached to Adam? Well, it's a little bit, looks like a snake. So there's a little foreshadowing here of sin coming into the world, even at that moment of God creating Adam. Here's a piece that we'll see later in the book and in the Elements of Art assignment that we have a little bit later over on VoiceThread. Here's another rendition of Christ outside of the universe, creating the universe, where the universe is this sphere. Okay, and God, Christ, is standing here outside of the universe, bigger than the universe. He's measuring out the universe. But one thing that is just great that I see here is he is so big and so immense and so mighty that even this border of the universe cannot contain him, that heaven cannot contain Christ. So we see his foot sticking out a little bit here. Here's another one of God creating the animals. Now, one reason I show this is because to me it's hilarious. How many of you in the class have Nike footwear? Some of you might be wearing Air Jordans. Do you see anything here similar? Yeah, the logo for Air Jordan looks very similar to this. It's not on purpose, but it is there. Here's another one talking about creative ability of God. This is a piece from the doors of the baptistry in Florence, Italy. And it looks very complex, but if we stand back from it a little bit, we can tear it apart, analyze it a little, and what we see here is the creation of Adam and Eve. Here's God up here in the heavens. And then down here is Adam being pulled out of the dirt by God, again in the shape of a human being. In the middle, we've got God reaching out towards Eve as she's being pulled out of the body of a sleeping Adam. Over here, we see Adam and Eve and Satan in the form of a serpent as sin enters the world. And then all the way back over here, here's Adam and Eve being expelled from the Garden of Eden. And here's the angel keeping them away. And if you notice right here, they do have the leaves covering them. So this is a very complex piece, but analyzing it a little bit, we can start to understand it a little bit better. And ultimately, one of the best pieces talking about creation is the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. And especially in the middle, here's God, Adam, and this famous image of God reaching out and touching, giving Adam that spark of life. Okay. Now, to finish up this part, this little lecture, I want to show you some images. And if I were teaching this in class, in the classroom, I'd have you shout out what these things are. If you want to do that in your dorm room, go ahead, but either write down, think about, shout out what these are. What is it? It's a cave painting from France, the Lascaux Caves. We'll talk about that in the first chapter. King Tut, Egyptian. The discus thrower, it's Greek. The Colosseum in Rome, Roman, ancient Roman. This one might be a little hard. Identifying parts of it are the two bell towers and then the flying buttresses here. Notre Dame in Paris. Some of you might be of the generation of watching the Disney film of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. How about this one? A little bit harder. Michelangelo's David. I'm just astounded sometimes by how many students actually understand the piece, and I ask why. And they talk about, well, it's white marble, the detail of the hand, the size of the hand, the gesture of the hand, and that's marvelous. Here's another one. Napoleon. Vincent van Gogh as the artist, sunflowers. And we do have a little bit here cheating with Vincent, one of the only pieces he signed. And something by Picasso. Okay. Now, some of those you may have known. And I point that out because just by living in our culture, we're surrounded by art. Okay? So as we go through this class, if you're in this mode of being scared of art, not appreciating it, just wait. I'll show you how. I'll give you some systems to go ahead and look at art, and we'll do these assignments. And I can almost assure you by the end of the term, hopefully with a little bit of work, you'll be able to actually look at artwork, interpret it, judge it, and enjoy it. Okay? This is the end of the second lecture. I'm going to go on to another lecture that we're going to talk about the elements of art.